Greetings, brothers and sisters. Hello and welcome back to Eva's House of Spirit. For those of you who are newer to this channel, I'm Eva. For those of you who are familiar with this channel, hello again. Excuse me. I'm making a concerted effort these days to try to post more often. I'm feeling sort of the pull to come back and revive the channel and revive the group and revive the Facebook page. I still have to really get into the Facebook page and the Facebook group more and kind of like stir things up a bit to liven up those scenes, I guess you could say. But I'm going to start here. This is the easiest place to start, is in making videos, in coming back and rejoining the dialogue, which I would like to say, you know, since YouTube has begun all of the changes that it started putting into effect so many months ago, maybe a year ago, it's affected a lot of smaller channels like mine, and I think that's really unfortunate. And the reason why is that time is money. You know, unfortunately there are some people who the income that they were getting from their videos did supplement their income, and it helped them, you know, to make ends meet along with their day jobs and their other side projects and side hustles and whatever. So I feel like having obstacles in the way of earning revenue from videos kind of sucks, because while there are many people who could probably contribute to the alternative faith or pagan or magical or spiritual dialogues that we often have in our sort of unorthodox community here, our metaphysical minded community, I think sadly the demonetization and the hurdles put in place of a lot of content creators kind of gets in the way of motivating people to do that, as does, of course, also dramas that happen. Though I hope those of you that feel you have something to say, those of you that used to take joy in coming here and sharing and contributing to everyone's learning and growth together, I hope that you'll all come back. I think and I feel that we need pagan and alternative faith points of view and voices more so now than ever. At one point, I feel like our community was so strong. Now, while there are still some ongoing content creators, the scene has changed a bit. You know, some that were excellent content creators that contributed great topics to dialogues and sort of, you know, being catalysts for thought, they have kind of gone away for whatever reason, and it's a shame, because I really do believe our community could be stronger than it used to be, maybe even better than it used to be. But that's not what this video is about. I just thought I would say a few words about that, because, you know, in being away, I did come back and realize that I did not have the option anymore to monetize my videos for ad revenue, and I was just like, what happened? You know, I've been away because of life transition, and I come back and I'm just like, what's going on? But it's not going to dissuade me. I'm going to keep trying to grow my channel, and I'm going to keep trying to inspire you all and bring topics of relevance and hopefully inspiration to you all. You know, my main motive here is not, it's not mainly the money, but you know what, when I was able to monetize the channel, it was a help, even though I wasn't making very much. The little bit I was making, hey, it was still money that it was nice to be able to bring in to put towards certain bills when I did reach, you know, the $100 amount, and then they sent me my little $100 or whatever. That was helpful. But I'm going to keep posting until maybe someday the channel will grow big enough that I can actually monetize it, but that's not the main focus, regardless. Anyway, This video's main topic is scrying. I wanted to come here because in my transitions video, in my video where I spoke about navigating transitions and maintaining your path and practice, I mentioned scrying as a good alternative for divination if you don't have your tools for whatever reason. Let's say you're moving and everything's packed up, or whatever's going on. Let's say you just don't have access to tools. I did mention it, and I gave like a brief little overview of it, but I wanted to come here and sort of speak more on that, elaborate a bit, because I happen to be a strong scryer, and there are probably some among you who might not be, who might be interested in developing your ability as a scryer. So I thought that's what I would speak on today. So this is going to be sort of like a how to scry video, or a how to develop your scrying abilities video. So scrying is probably one of the easiest forms of divination to cultivate, again, because you don't need tools. It's just very convenient, especially being that you can scry into almost anything, if not anything. The only things you really need in order to scry, and in order to scry well, is a sense of openness and a trust in your own intuitive abilities. I think most of us are aware that all people have some degree of psychic ability. There are people out there who will try to tell you that only select few people are psychic, like it's a special elite club, and you know what? That's not true. Everybody has psychic abilities in some way, shape, or form. I believe that we all have them, and we all have the ability to build up our strengths in probably any form of psychic ability. However, we as individuals, each of us, tend to have talents in a particular way. For example, I used to know someone who was clairaudient. There are people out there that hear voices. That's what clairaudience is. You hear voices of spirits or what have you, entities that, or guides that will tell you things, and they are true. There's just no way of knowing them. That's clairaudience. Or sometimes spirits will just have dialogues with those people. There are people that are clairvoyant. They will have visions of things. There are people that are strong scryers, people that dream true. They will have dreams that will come to pass. There are people that are empathic. They feel vibrations and energies as though they are their own feelings. That can be very difficult. Or there are people that are more like myself, that are intuitive, sort of claircognizant. We will just know things sometimes, and there's just no explanation for it. We just know. I tend to get gut feelings a lot. That's because my talent, my particular form of psychic, I guess you could say, talent, where the ease is for me, because everyone has certain areas that are easier, certain areas that are more difficult to cultivate. Like I'm not really clairaudient, for example. That would be something I would have to cultivate. But my abilities tend to center very much on the solar plexus, but not in an empathic sort of way, in more of an intuitive, sort of detached kind of way. I tend to be a strong scryer. On the rare occasion, I may have some dreaming true, but really not much at all. But my point being, everyone has abilities, like psychic abilities in some way, shape, or form. It's just, you're going to have strengths, and then you're going to have challenges. If scrying is something that's a challenge for you, I hope this video will sort of fill in some gaps. So that's sort of my aim. Now, I've mentioned in my video on transitions that you can scry into things such as boiling water, or maybe wood grain, or clouds. You're looking at sort of an abstract scape, for lack of a better way of putting it, and you will see images, pictures in the things that you're looking into, and they will sort of speak to you or tell you stories. I did say that. Now, you can scry into many other things besides what I have mentioned already. Perhaps the inclusions in a crystal. Those are like, if you've ever seen in a clear crystal the cracks and the cloudiness and all that kind of stuff. Imperfect crystals are great in that way, whether it be a crystal ball or whether it be an actual piece of crystal that sort of has like a bit of transparency to it or translucency, but then you can sort of see like all kinds of craziness going on inside. Those little inclusions can be excellent for scrying into. The surface markings on marble or granite, or even like, for example, the design on laminate countertops. You know how they look speckled and sort of abstract? Those kinds of things are excellent for scrying into. So if you are lucky enough to have a kitchen counter that sort of has that abstract stone look, even if it's just a laminate countertop with a sort of look like that, you can scry into your countertop. Very kitchen witchery sort of, but yeah, that can absolutely work for you. The sky's the limit. You know, whatever abstract surface or object you can look into and see shapes and images in, you can utilize that. There was someone I heard of once that used to take a slice of pizza, smear it on a plate, and they would scry into the smearings of the pizza on the plate. It sounds crazy, but hey, it's abstract and you can see images in it, so it works. One suggestion I have for you is keep a scrying journal. Write down the impressions that you get in each of your scrying sessions, images that you see, maybe thoughts afterward on what you think they may mean, what day of the week maybe it was, perhaps the moon phase, or other details about the timing and the place and what you scried into. These can help you to sort of see patterns in your practice. So maybe you'll discover, for example, that every time you scry into boiling water, it works really well for you. And maybe you're going to discover that during a certain day of the week or under a certain phase of the moon, or, something like that. You may discover that is something that will be more conducive to you having accurate impressions or something. So it's good to keep a journal to record your success rate, to record the details of your sessions, and it'll help you to develop, because you'll see what works for you better, what works for you not so much, what came true, what didn't come true. This can help you. I also recommend it's best to scry for others and not yourself in the beginning, particularly. Not saying you can never try to scry for yourself, but just like in doing tarot or other forms of divination, a lot of times when we try to read ourselves or issues that are very close to home, sometimes we run the risk of seeing only what we want to see. And in trying to develop something like scrying, that can very much get in the way of your process of trying to develop yourself. It is better, I think, at first, to try and scry for other people, or to try and scry for things that, or into situations that do not involve you, so that you can look into them, sort of, so to speak, look into them, no pun intended, in a more detached way, and you won't just be seeing what you want to see, you'll be seeing what comes to you. You can try later on, when you're more developed, you can try to scry for yourself, and you can see if you can develop that ability. Some people can, some people find a harder time with that. Whatever the case happens to be for yourself, you can give it a shot and see if you can. It's, it tends to be more challenging to read oneself. But anyhow, my suggestions for how to go about a scrying session. First, I would suggest decide what you're going to scry into, whether it's, the flames of a fire, whether it's clouds in the sky, whether it's your beautiful countertop in your kitchen, wood grain, whatever it happens to be, pizza smearings on a plate, whatever it happens to be. Find your surface. And then you're going to make sure you have your scrying journal with you too, so that after your session you can write about it. And then once you've decided on your surface, you have your journal with you, calm yourself. Take a few moments to center. You might want to close your eyes, take a few deep breaths. Just really relax. Be comfortable. You probably want to try this at a time when you won't be disturbed, when people won't be like trying to call you 50 times during the day. Your kids aren't asking you for things every 5 seconds. Try to find a peaceful time and place to try this. So you're going to ground and center yourself, kind of calm yourself, whatever it takes, be at peace. Then you're going to concentrate on your question, or on the question that, if there's someone else asking you to do this on their behalf, you're going to focus on the question that they have for you or that you have. Then, and another thing, don't have preconceived notions in mind. Whatever the question happens to be, whether it's your own or whether it's one that someone wants you to scry on, do not have preconceived notions. Just go into it, just see what comes to you. Then you're going to allow yourself to look at the surface you've chosen, or whatever scape it happens to be. Look at the abstract area, thing, whatever it happens to be. Sit for as long as you like, looking at it, until you feel that the session is complete. You will just have a sense of, okay, I think I've seen all that I could see for right now. You'll just know, I think. Then you're going to write down what it was that you saw in your journal. And then once you have recorded the images that you've seen, the pictures, or whatever you've seen in it. Let's say, for example, maybe you saw a rabbit, maybe you saw a candy cane. Then you're going to write down in your journal, like, I saw a rabbit, I saw a candy cane, and then you're going to try to decipher the symbolism. You're going to think about, what would rabbits and candy canes, if that was the example that you saw, what do they mean to you? Like, how do they make you feel? What sort of impression do they give you in relation to the question? Now, if someone asked me, let's say their question was, will I have a baby? Let's say I saw a rabbit. Okay, well, rabbits are signs of fertility to me, so I would see that as a positive sign. And then the candy cane, I associate them very much with December, Christmas time. So maybe that would speak to me of, hey, maybe it's in December. Maybe around Christmas you're going to get pregnant, would be probably the impression I would get. But when you're examining how the images make you feel, there will be times that you will get feelings that may not make sense. They will seem out of context. And that's okay. And the reason why that can happen is because, and this can happen with any kind of divination, whether you're a tarot reader, whether you're a scryer, whether you're doing runes, whatever. If you ever get impressions and you're like, I don't understand where this is coming from, what's the deal with this? It's okay. Don't censor yourself. Don't question yourself. Just relay the information to the person that you're reading for. Just say, look, I don't understand this. It's out of context for me because I don't live your life. But this is the feelings that I'm getting. I feel like this. I'm sort of getting an impression of such and such, whatever it happens to be. They will know better than you. They will understand the connection. 9 times out of 10, because they live their own life, and even though you may not understand it, usually the person being read will know where to connect the dots with what you've said. I've had this happen in tarot readings many times, and in other forms of divination as well. So don't be afraid if you don't understand, like, feelings that you get off of certain images that you may receive in scrying. It's okay to just admit, look, this is out of context for me. Let's say, for example, maybe you see the image of a tree. Well, you may tell the person, like, I'm seeing an image of a tree. For example, maybe a tree makes you feel like really peaceful and like you get a sense of growth, but you may not understand how it relates to their situation. So you can say, well, I'm seeing a tree and it gives me a feeling of peace and it gives me a sense of growth and so on and so forth. I don't quite understand how it relates to your situation, but it's what I'm seeing. People will appreciate the honesty. They will. And when they later, after the reading, after the scrying, when they give you their feedback, they will 9 times out of 10 say, oh, that's probably this and this and this and this because of this and this and this and this. And then you'll go, oh, okay, now it makes more sense. Because they will give you context where you didn't have context when you were reading. I hope that makes sense. I tried to explain that as best as I could. So yeah, you're going to have to cultivate this. This is something that, it's like any skill. Practice makes perfect. It's not like you're going to do this once and suddenly be the best scryer in the world. It takes practice. It helps if you really get in touch with symbolism. I'm not saying go out and buy books about symbolism, because symbols are not the same for every person. And I've said this in several videos. I'm pretty sure something may mean one thing to me, and it may not at all mean that same thing to you. I think I've used this particular example. To me, a dog may symbolize motherhood, nurturing, loyalty, okay? To someone else who's had bad experiences in their life with dogs, their associations with the symbol of a dog could be much more frightening and dark and not so good. So it's not that one or the other meaning or any meaning is wrong, but the meanings of symbols will come. Okay, let me backtrack for a second. Pause. I'm tripping over my words here. When you see a symbol, when you are scrying, your guardians, your guides, your helpful spirits, your divinity, all these powers that help you to do what you do, they will bring forth these symbols knowing that they mean certain things to you. They will do this so that you will receive the correct impressions to understand the message. It's kind of like synchronistic communication between yourself and the other side. So nobody's interpretations are wrong. Symbols mean what they mean to each person, but as a reader you should be familiar with what things mean to you, how they make you feel, what kind of associations you have with things. Like to one person a hummingbird may mean beauty, to another person a hummingbird may mean love, to another person a hummingbird may be a sign of prosperity for some reason. There's all different. It's fine. Just I recommend that you really explore what things mean to you, how things make you feel. When you see a picture, an image, really stop and take the time and ask yourself, what does this make me feel like inside? What story does this sort of tell me? So that's what I would suggest in terms of practicing your scrying. At first, practice reading for other people or situations that are not really close to home for you. Keep a scrying journal. Practice regularly, because practice makes perfect. Again, the process would be to choose your surface or whatever it is you want to see into. Make sure you have your journal. Take time to calm and center yourself. Then focus on whatever it is you want to know more about, and then proceed to scry, and then write about what you saw, and then you can go after that about trying to decipher what the symbols mean to you, or how they make you feel, what kind of impressions they give to you, and then sort of fit the puzzle pieces together in relation to what you wanted to know more about, or what, let's say somebody asked you to scry for them, what you saw, how that relates to what they asked. And just be sure that you practice, again, just to reiterate, practice familiarizing yourself with your own personal symbolism your relationship with things, the associations you have with things, what they mean to you, how they make you feel. So I hope this video has been helpful in giving you sort of a sense of direction if you want to develop your abilities as a scryer, how to go about practicing this. This is something that I think every magical practitioner, every spiritual person, every human being in general, I think, would do well to practice scrying skills, because see, I believe that psychic abilities, the reason why people have them is that we are animals, and I'm sure a lot of you are aware that animals have intuition, survival instincts, you know, and that sort of inner knowing helps animals to survive and thrive, you know, to live a better life. And being that we are animals too, we have that same ability. You know, we just call it psychic ability, but really it's those instincts that we have inside of ourselves, that sort of a connection, you know, to the natural world, to the world around us, that ability to feel and know and understand and perceive things in a different way that just is truly the sixth sense. So I think to develop that would be very beneficial, because knowledge is power. To have insight into something, it can, in my opinion, save you from bad choices. It can empower you to avoid negative situations. It can direct the course of your journey when you're feeling uncertain. I've always found every time I did not listen to those internal, like, gut feelings, that's when bad things have happened. So I have come to learn in my life, listen to that inner knowing, that inner sort of a voice, so to speak, that claircognizance. I've come to follow it and not question. Even if it doesn't make sense, I just listen to it, because every time I didn't listen to it, bad things have always happened. So with that, that's pretty much all I have for you in this video, and I hope you've enjoyed this video on scrying, and I'm going to wish you all blessed be and ashe. If any of you have questions or comments, you can put them below in the comments section. Maybe we can start a dialogue on this. If any of you have suggestions, feel free to share those as well. And yeah, I wish you all much luck on your journey to developing your abilities as scryers, if that's something you'd like to try. If you don't do so well at first, do not get discouraged. It often takes a lot of practice to get either noticeable results or even to get really good. You know, it takes a little while. It's not like you're just going to try to develop a skill or a talent that doesn't come naturally to you and suddenly you're amazing. It's going to take a little bit, you know. So if you don't see the results that you want to see right away, do not get discouraged. Okay? So with that, I'm going to say, again, blessed be and ashe. And until next time, until our next exchange, you all stay awesome. And bye-bye for now.